Good morning, guys. Fox News Digital confirming that the White House altered the transcript of President Biden's controversial garbage remarks. So a White House supervisor saying, quote, our stenography office transcript released to our distro, which includes the National Archives, is now different than the version edited and released to the public by press office staff. Director of White House stenography Amy Sands reprimanding the White House press office in an email for releasing an altered transcript. She writes, quote, please avoid sharing rush draft excerpts, which are subject to review and might create confusion among staff, media, and the public while our stenography office completes a thorough review process. The transcript came under scrutiny after the White House added an apostrophe to the word supporters to indicate that Biden was calling the joke made by the comedian during Trump's Madison Square Garden rally garbage and not his supporters overall. The White House press office has ignored Fox News' request to share that final transcript or confirm if this is the final version. A White House spokesperson saying, quote, the president confirmed in his tweet on Tuesday evening that he was addressing the hateful rhetoric from the comedian at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. That was reflected in the transcript. Meanwhile, one of Vice President Kamala Harris's top surrogates, billionaire Mark Cuban, is getting major criticism after saying Trump does not surround himself with intelligent women. Listen.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them. And, you know, Nikki Haley will call him on his nonsense with reproductive rights and how he sees and treats and talks about women. I mean, he just can't have her around. It wouldn't work.
Cuban walking back on his remarks now, saying, one, I know many strong and intelligent women voting for Trump, including in my extended family. I'm certainly not saying female voters are not smart, strong, and intelligent. Two, I know he has worked with strong, intelligent women like Elaine Chao, Kellyanne Conway, Ivanka, and many others. Former President Trump now blasting Cuban and defending the women around him, saying he surrounds himself with the strongest of women. Guys.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Ah! What in the name? No!
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Now everybody's happy.
Go. Let's go. Anytime I can get a Jim Carrey meme at the top of the show, let's go. Anytime we can work in a Jim Carrey meme, we are ready to rock. We are ready to roll. We are 4 days from the election, and the energy is on our side. Today is Friday, November 1st, 2024. How was your Halloween? Very spooky. Lots of trash bags floating around my neighborhood. Both Trump boys dressing up as trash, Eric and Don Jr. I think Eric Trump's going to join the show, actually. He just texted me. He's like, can I come on the show? I want to talk about my Halloween outfit. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Vivek Ramaswamy on the show. Today, live off the top, we're going to talk about so many things, but we're going to talk about the spiking in the polls for President Trump at the end of the race here and what that actually means. The White House being exposed for editing a transcript. This is a crime. Hopefully somebody gets arrested for this. And the headlines from the Trump-Tucker event. How interesting that all of the Hollywood celebrities are now on the same side as the Cheneys. So many of them made their careers off of hating on Dick Cheney and his family and warmongering. And now they're all trying to put Dick Cheney back in office, actually. Very interesting, including some Star Wars stars. So maybe they just love Darth Vader that much. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Benny, and this is The Benny Show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, off the top, I want to welcome to the program the great Vivek Ramaswamy, who was with me in a garbage outfit riding on the back of a garbage truck earlier this week. We're going to rush to Vivek because he's a very busy man. Let's rock and roll, boys. What's going on, homie? How you doing, man?
How are you?
Dude, you look great in a garbage outfit, in a garbage vest. We have a ton of B-roll here, but could you give me like sort of a wrap-up of this day? It was an amazing day.
I thought it was a good day. I mean, every time Joe Biden speaks, thinks he's issuing some kind of insult, it's an opportunity, which makes you wonder what his actual motivations are, but we'll leave that for another day. The guy we rode around with, Leo, I mean, he's just a great dude, right? I mean, he was a patriot who loves the country. He's got 4 kids. He's working hard to make sure they have a better life. He's moved to North Carolina to be able to secure the best job he can get. And we asked him, I mean, you were sitting in the car when I asked him, how did it make you feel when Joe Biden said half of America who supports Donald Trump is garbage? And he said it was personally insulting, not just to him as a Trump supporter, but as a guy who actually carries out, I think, a noble profession. And somebody, and by the way, I think you and I both had an appreciation, I certainly did, for the fact that this is not easy work, complex machinery, and the guy was just a great dude. And so my favorite part of the night, actually, Benny, was when I brought him on stage up with us at the event itself, and just hearing the whole crowd chant Leo, Leo the whole night. That I thought was the best part of the event, because it was the opposite of Joe Biden, disrespecting and spitting in the face of the working man and the everyday American. We were able to do something more positive and a little different, which I thought was pretty cool.
So here's you actually bringing Leo up on stage, actually defending the working class and defending the people who build the country, who fight for the country, who, if the country goes to war, will be the ones having to stand at arms and head into the trenches. Last night, Donald Trump saying Liz Cheney would never dare do that. Now, this is something that is making all the rounds this morning. But effectively, all Donald Trump did last night with Tucker Carlson, and we'll pop the B-roll up here, but all Trump did last night with Tucker Carlson was say, Liz Cheney and war hawks and neocons like her will never go fight in the wars. They view your sons and daughters as cannon fodder for their wars. And now the entire Democrat Party and the media ecosystem is uniting around the neocons and the war hawks and against those people that actually fight wars in our country. I want to get your take on this.
Sure.
So here's what Trump had to say. Let's have a listen here.
And Cheney was so, he said, I really want to thank you. He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing, but that you would do this. And I didn't speak to him about it. But then, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. When the guns are trained on her face. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy.
So this is what Trump said. I mean, we say this on the show every single day, that none of these people actually fight the wars that they start. I want to get your take on this.
Yeah, I think Trump is really stating a blunt fact, which is that you got incentives of people who sit there, many of whom directly or indirectly make money off of their contracts or other companies from going to war, but who don't actually face the consequences of those same wars, which is their sons and daughters or themselves dying on the front lines. You're even entering the lexicon right now, the possibility of sending American troops to Ukraine. That idea has been introduced in recent weeks as well. This is what we were told a year and a half ago was an impossibility. And so I think President Trump, the irony is, he's part of the Republican Party, the leader of the Republican Party, no doubt about it. Yet the Republican Party before Donald Trump was the party that in many ways was pushing for a lot of these no-win, endless foreign wars. And the beautiful thing is now you've seen other Democrats come along to say that, yes, we're also in favor of the party of peace. That's just now the Republican Party. And in the other direction, you see a migration of Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney. In some ways, it's actually making sense, Benny. So some people are saying, well, what's going on? Republicans and Democrats, the lines don't matter anymore. It's just a realignment. Actually, the people who are pro-war are migrating to the Democratic Party, and the people who are pro-peace and pro-prosperity without going to war are migrating to the Republican Party. It's because of Donald Trump's leadership, and frankly, I think it's starting to make a lot of sense.
The one thing that doesn't make sense to me, Vivek, is that people who made their careers off of hating on the Cheneys, like Eminem, who I know you're a fan of, we've all seen you rap Eminem.
Of the real Eminem, not the thing that's parading around as Eminem at Marshall Mathers today. Yeah.
So I want to just, we all watched this clip. It's a great clip of you rapping "Lose Yourself." 2 questions on this. 1, Barack Obama swaggerjacked you and rapped "Lose Yourself" at a rally for Kamala Harris with Eminem. I want to get your take on that. Firstly, because he actually stole your set. He stole your set here.
I think it's a very generous interpretation, Benny. I don't think that he stole much of anything, because I don't think to say he rapped it was, I think, an overstatement. He might have issued some sort of like Shakespearean sonnet rendition imitation or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what he was going for, but it was rather embarrassing to watch. And I would love competitors. Okay, I would love competitors but Barack Obama ain't one of them. I'm just going to tell you that. Watch those videos side by side, and I'll let the audience be the judge of who actually can pull that off.
Eminem made his career off of dissing Dick Cheney. And now Eminem is advocating to get Dick Cheney back in office and his daughter.
So it's insane, actually. So one of my favorite. So it's funny you brought this up. So Barack Obama, he was going off of "Lose Yourself." That's the set that I did at the Iowa State Fair last year. But actually, one of my favorite Eminem songs is "Without Me," and he literally addresses in that song Ms. Cheney. He said, "Ms. Cheney, I know you got a job already, but your husband's heart problem's complicating." And then he goes on and said the same song. I'm not kidding. It's the same song. The FCC won't let me be me. They won't let me go on MTV. So that's the Eminem who was anti-censorship against three-letter administrative state agencies in the bureaucracy, against Dick Cheney and Ms. Cheney, as he called it out, for going into wars. And yet here he is now endorsing the candidate who, as the Cheneys have joined, the pro-censorship party, the pro-bureaucracy party that wants the FCC to go around censoring people. Like it's just a change of such remarkable order that you'd say it's maybe the same flesh, as in the same biological human being, but it's a hollowed out husk of what's left inside. I think my question for him is, will the real Slim Shady please stand up, right? That's really what's left. And the guy standing up there might be called Marshall Mathers, but it isn't really the Eminem that we knew from when you and I were growing up, who was the guy who wanted to stick it to the system, the guy who wanted free speech, the guy who refused to be silenced by the establishment, has now joined the establishment that actually wants to do that very silencing, with Dick Cheney, the guy he used to diss on, right by his side, and Ms. Cheney, who he referred to. He said, I know you have a job already. That job is going to be Secretary of Defense if Kamala Harris takes the presidency, to bring it full circle to fight those wars that he was supposedly against. It doesn't make any sense. And so I hope the real Eminem, the real Slim Shady, does stand up, but that ain't the guy you got on the screen right there.
Vivek, you're cooking, man. We do have a photo leaked to us of Eminem's new album here. Here you go. He got Eminem as Liz Cheney. Eminem is betraying his fan. It does seem like a betrayal. Just a quick comment on Joe Rogan and Donald.
Only Houdini could have pulled off that type of magic there. I'll just leave it at that. For people who don't know, that's his latest album.
Joe Rogan saying that being a Republican is the party being an actual rebel, being actually against the system now in his interview with Donald Trump.
I mean, that strikes me as, Joe's right, but it also is just, with due respect to Joe, it's obvious. And so what I love about Joe is sometimes he's able to say the obvious and it's still controversial, but it takes somebody to actually step up and say it. But obviously, being a Republican right now, especially in our generation or in Gen Z, is the rebellious thing to do. I was in Westchester, Pennsylvania yesterday on a college campus. I'm not kidding, Benny. We're sitting outdoors. There are, bar none, thousands of people who show up. We're sitting in a little booth. It's like the equivalent of this table I'm sitting in front of to have conversations with students. There's thousands of people gathered just to listen to those one-on-one conversations we're having, because they're sick and tired of being told to shut up, sit down, and do as they're told. There was a Kamala Harris voter. I think my favorite interaction yesterday was, she's a black woman. She's going to law school. She's a Kamala Harris voter, and she told me I couldn't change her mind. But she came up and she said that she couldn't get ahead in this country because of the effects of systemic racism. And she said, there's a lot of people here wearing MAGA hats. I told her, I've worked in finance in New York City. I have a law degree. I could tell you that at a law firm or wherever she might want to work, there would be more discrimination against any one of those people wearing a red MAGA hat than there would be against somebody having black skin. And that opened up, I think, a real conversation of a kind we hadn't had on college campuses 3, 4, 5 years ago. So, yeah, I think the rebellious thing to do is to call yourself a conservative, say you want to get married, have kids, pledge allegiance to that flag behind you right there without apologizing for it. That is rebellious today. And I think no matter what they've tried to do, the counterculture now is coming back with a positive vengeance. And, I think that in about 3 days now, I think we're about to see what that has in store for the country.
Yeah, man. Never meet your heroes. It's so sad to see how washed up Eminem has become. You're an Eminem fan. Maybe in closing here, what's your message to the real Slim Shady? Like, what's your message to Eminem about what's actually going on in the country?
I think what's going on is you became as a challenger to the establishment. You joined the establishment, but don't worry, there's still time. He's not an old man yet. I still have confidence, right? The real Slim Shady can stand up. You can actually get that rebel to show up again. He's just kind of going through a phase. I watched him even perform at the Super Bowl because my Bengals were there a couple of years ago in LA, kneeling down in favor of Black Lives Matter and BLM. Nobody believes that. It's not credible. It's not something that's authentic. Just be yourself and the actual rebel to the system. And this time around, listen to the song Without Me. You should play it later on the show. The lyrics of that song effectively make the case for Donald Trump, actually. Like if that were played today, if it's without me, the person who would not be censored, not shut up by the FCC or three-letter agencies, the person who wouldn't be taken into random wars by the Cheney family, including Ms. Cheney, which now would apply to Liz Cheney, who he addressed directly. That would be a pro-Trump song today if that came out in the year 2024. And so just look at it through that lens. And in some ways, I think we got to be charitable and provide space, because I'll criticize where it's necessary, and I give my criticism of Eminem. But I think one of the things we're seeing Donald Trump and our movement do a better job of this year is to say that we're going to open our movement to anybody who has a change of heart and finds themselves again, to say that we will always have a place for you. And we've accepted several of those Democrats coming our way this time around. And you know what? If Marshall Mathers is one of them, welcome back the real Slim Shady. We'll take him.
There you go. Hey, man. I mean, I still think this is just me. I still think it's the Diddy tapes. I think a lot of people are scared, and a lot of people are being pushed into endorsements they don't want to do. You can look as far as Usher. However, Donald Trump's winning the rap endorsement game, man. Donald Trump's absolutely winning the rap endorsement game. I think there's been hundreds of rappers.
He's spitting the lyrics from the stage. That's what he's doing, right?
That's right.
He's not quite rapping them, but he's the guy who's actually unconstrained with his own lyrics, and I think it's a beautiful thing. It ain't on the teleprompter, I'll tell you that.
Yes,
so when he goes off the teleprompter, that's when he's pulling out the real lyrics, and that's my favorite Donald Trump.
Final question, Vivek. I know you're a young man. I know you're just getting started in your career. Would you rap battle Obama? Because it seems like he was.
I mean, I would, but I think that I would prefer at least somebody who could level as a peer. All right, I would do it. I would do it once to prove the point, and then after that, don't make me do it again. That's all I would say.
You gotta. We'll play the raps back to back. We'll play them back to back. Vivek, so awesome, man. Such great energy. We're gonna finish the race strong. Everybody follow Vivek. Nearly 3 million people on X follow Vivek. Obviously, you know him. One of the best out there. Final message as we power through the tape here, Vivek.
Yeah, look, I really think November 5th is not some destination. That's a trap we can fall into. It's the start line, and we got to define what we're standing for. You and I never actually talked about my new book. I had a new book called Truths that came out last month, but I wanted to lay out, this is just the beginning, right? We're going to say make America great again now because we need to. 4 years from now, we're not going to be saying make America great again. Okay, we're just going to say make America greater because Donald Trump will have done the first part. And so I want people to think long term. It's not just the next 4 days or the next 4 months until he takes office, or even the next 4 years. He's going to do his part. But after that, we're just going to be making America greater for the next 250 years like we always have. And I'm pumped for not just the near term, man. November 5th is the starting line, and I'm excited to get there. And that's why I wrote this book, but it's also going to be one of my areas of focus as we hopefully take power in January, is not just thinking for the short run, but thinking for the long run of actually reviving our country.
Yes, that's right. So that you don't have to be 50-year-old rapper made your bones off of dissing the Cheneys and then siding with them to put them back in power. That's just humiliating.
Yeah,
that's embarrassing. Don't make that your career. Stay. Have
the
virtues.
OG Eminem would be with us on America.
That's right. That's exactly. Slim Shady is spinning in his grave. Yeah. Thank you, Vivek. This is so awesome. There's the cover of the book, Truths. You can find it on Amazon. We'll put the link in the description. God bless you, Vivek. We're going to win, buddy.
Yeah, we will. Thank you, man.
See ya. Oh, baby, Vivek better lose himself in that interview. That's going viral. Sometimes you just watch, sometimes it's like if you're a chef, you like watch a perfectly cooked steak, leave the kitchen, and you're like, man, that is going to be a delicious steak. That sucker is going viral. Oh, we're out here. We can say it. Didn't want to put Vivek on the side. We can say it. It's the Diddy tapes. Every one of these celebrities, there's this super cringe Marvel Avengers ad out there right now for Kamala Harris. And it's like every comment is like Diddy tapes. Every single celebrity endorsement, it's like, no. It's clearly P. Diddy. Clearly these people are compromised. There's no way that they'd be endorsing Kamala Harris. The easiest way to pin this one down is actually looking at Usher. Oh, that's a great image. Looking at Usher. You know, Usher's this rapper who's brought up by Diddy, and he said, I'm not endorsing. He went on The View, and very bravely and very wisely, because it's very smart with your career to not isolate at least half of your fans. Even if you isolate 40% of your fans, that's stupid. He goes on The View and he says, I'm not going to endorse. I'm a musician. I got no dog in this fight. Go do your own research. I believe in my fans. I believe my fans are intelligent and they don't need to hear from me about politics. I sing, I dance. Wouldn't it be refreshing to hear that? Wouldn't that be refreshing? I mean, I would give up, there have been some cool people endorsing Trump, but I got to tell you, I would like this country a lot better in the endorsement ecosystem, right? In what that, I would like it a lot better if they're like, I play basketball, I sing songs, and that's all I do. And you should make up your own decisions, because I don't do politics, right? That's what I would like from our celebrity class. I think that'd be much wiser. Instead we get this. Instead we get every single person that's ever. Oh man, and there's some breaking news out of this morning. I think we'll be covering later in a segment today about there's some bad stuff, man. The Diddy tapes are real. We were in Atlanta recently, and we were chatting with some guys who know the rap game in Atlanta, and there are stories, baby. There are stories. So here we go. We are gonna rock and roll through the election. We're gonna power through. We're gonna be out. Hillary Clinton is coming with Kamala Harris to Tampa, Florida. That's where we broadcast from. We planned on traveling this weekend. Then we saw that and said, oh, mama, we are going to stay here. It's going to be very, very fun. No quit. If we show up and vote right now, we win. If we win this weekend, we win. I don't want complacency. I don't want cockiness. I don't want smugness. We've been covering on this program the incredible criminality that is already happening, lawsuits that are being won by the Trump campaign, illegal activities that are happening in Pennsylvania, in Michigan. In Michigan, they just had a Chinese national vote in the election, and the vote will count. If there's anything that'll make your blood boil, man, that's the one. That's the thing that should make your blood boil. The vote's going to count in Michigan. So I'll tell you, we're going to stay on. The train has no brakes. We're going to keep the energy rolling, ladies and gentlemen. The people who are going to be right next to us in that mission to power through is obviously going to be our friends at Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee is the coffee of this program. Sadly, this is 100% empty. I want another coffee. This is my Benny Show coffee mug, completely empty this morning. I have drank an entire pot of coffee this morning. We have gotten absolutely no sleep. And we had Halloween last night, so we had to rock and roll. I really hope that Eric Trump can join us. Let me know what Eric Trump says. Okay, Eric Trump is going to join the show. Amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Trump's coming on the show to talk about his Halloween costume last night. It's gonna be great. Okay, just heard back from Eric. So guys, make sure you lock that in. 11:30 or 11:45. So we're just not going to stop. We got to have that sweet caffeine rolling through our veins. Blackout Coffee does it for us. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. They're family owned. They're from this great state of Florida, and they love America. No grift, just pure patriotism. Go to blackoutcoffee.com today. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny today. Be awake, not woke. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. You can find them on Public Square. Okay, here we go. The scandal of the day. The White House altered a transcript of Biden's garbage remark, despite fears that it was a breach of protocol. This is very interesting. This is also criminal and illegal. Let's read. Ladies and gentlemen, the White House altered the official transcript of a call President Biden did with Latino supporters, where he appeared to call Trump supporters garbage, according to reports by the Associated Press. You can see clearly, and obviously, that this is what Joe Biden did. Boys, do we have the one where we slowed it down and put the transcript up? Make sure that that's the video that we have. I want to just play that because that went thermonuclear viral on our X. And I want to make, you can really see, the inflection point in Joe Biden talking here. It's obvious. It's not worth, we already won this battle, so it's not really worth fighting it, but it is worth setting up prosecutions for people that have behaved criminally and illegally. You can't change official White House transcripts. The Presidential Records Act states this definitively, and those who do alter the public record are committing crimes. So it's time to lock them up. Lock up KJP. Boy, man, that would be a fun first little, job for a inspector general. Who changed the transcript for the White House? According to the official transcript prepared by the White House stenographers, Biden said on a call, the only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos. However, the transcript released by the White House press office altered the word. It said supporters. It put an apostrophe there on supporters. You can tell in Joe Biden's own comments that he clearly didn't mean this. Here we go. We've slowed them down for you. You can watch them. Joe Biden is not a higher level functioning mammal. Joe Biden does not have the capacity for critical thought. Joe Biden is a simple binary creature who says what he means and means what he says. This was seen as something that was, of course, a big bonus for Joe. Scranton Joe, Lunch Pail Joe, Joe Biden. He'll say whatever. His raw honesty was seen as a value add for Joe Biden back in the day. And now it's coming back to bite him in the ass as Joe Biden says what he really believes. Here we go. We've slowed it down for you so you can hear it full speed. And this is a Zapruder film of our era in that it obviously shows that the government is lying. Here we go.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
There you go.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Don't let them trick you, man. It's on tape. We're smarter than them. We're more powerful than them. We're stronger than them. New York Times ran a hit piece on this program yesterday where it said that there's no such thing as criminal aliens voting in our election. There's no such thing as foreign nationals voting in our election. That doesn't exist. They came after me and you and our program because we said this. And on the same day in Detroit and across national news, it was reported, but also verified through criminal charges, that a Chinese citizen in Michigan was able to obtain, because they have no voter ID, was able to obtain a ballot, register to vote, and was able to cast a vote, and that vote counted. You know why we do this? You don't know why we do this, why we're totally fine with the New York Times running this article? Because this invalidates my vote. Do you understand this? So presumably you are, we have a huge audience that is actually across the world, all right? We just met people from London and New Zealand that follow the show, and it's a great honor. However, if you're an American watching this program right now, then you have this sacred sovereign right that you pay taxes for, that your family bleeds and dies for, to cast a ballot in this election. This criminal Chinese national has just invalidated your vote. How does that make you feel? No, think about it. Even if you don't live in Michigan, but if you do live in Michigan, then this Chinese national, their vote, which has gone into the system, been tabulated, as now counted. There's no way. The state of Michigan says they're charging this person with 2 felonies. They're, again, a Chinese student, I think, studying here, Chinese national, was able to shove a ballot into our system, and that vote is now going to invalidate a Trump or a Kamala vote in Michigan. I don't care if he voted for Trump. I don't care. Let's say this guy voted for Trump, and you actually invalidate. Then what you do is you make you counter 1 vote for Kamala, right? So that's 1 more vote for Trump. So they've invalidated a legitimate vote for Kamala, all right? I will rage against that as much as I'll rage against if this Chinese national voted for Kamala and then they invalidated a Trump vote. And then on the national scale, I live in Florida, I don't live in Michigan. But they've invalidated my vote, so I'm going to take this personally. On the national popular vote, this Chinese citizen's vote is going to count in our election, therefore meaning that Kamala has 1 more vote than she should have, assuming that they voted for Kamala, and that my vote was now neutralized in the national vote. My vote will still count for the Florida allocation of delegates. But you've just eliminated my vote. This Chinese national that has no right to vote here because of a Michigan's barbaric, it should be illegal voter practices with no voter ID in Michigan. Guys, can you check that? But I think no voter ID in Michigan. So yes, it makes my blood boil. And yes, I am willing to accept my name being in the New York Times, slandered and defamed, to speak about this evil. If you are in the state of Michigan, which is an all-important swing state, which will no doubt be decided by just a handful of votes, this is truly criminal. But the people who allowed for this vote to now count, they also should go to prison. These guys, the system in Michigan, it said, the Secretary of State said, the vote's already in, sorry. You know how they found this guy? This guy turned himself in. How many foreign students are studying in Michigan right now? 20,000? Will that be the difference? Will that be the difference in the election? 20,000? Okay, so here we go. So I want to correct this because I was wrong. In Michigan, it looks like a photo ID requested, not strict, is what our map says. So photo ID requested. Here's what happened according to the reporting out from the Detroit Free Press. This Chinese national used their student ID. But, I mean, you're going to have student ID, right? There's no crime in that. So the state of Michigan, they're like, oh, okay, student ID. Here's you can register to vote. Register through your dorm. That's the system. So there's 20,000 foreign nationals studying right now, legally, right, in Michigan. Who knows how many criminal aliens there are in Michigan? They also get driver's licenses. You're telling me all of them can vote? You're telling me every single one of them can vote? Because they have an ID? That's what according to the report, according to the Secretary of State. Benny, you're crazy. This is all coming from the Michigan Secretary of State who's a Democrat. So how are you going to find those votes? There's early voting in Michigan. How are you going to count? You're just going to count all those votes? If indeed that's happening? I can say I have no evidence of that happening, but here's the evidence of it actually happening. Sorry, I'm just like a bee in my bonnet, man. I am angry about this, and you deserve to know about it. And we're going to keep speaking the truth. We're going to do it. We're going to muscle through the end of we're going to muscle through. We're going to keep, there's a lot of differences between now and 2020. 2020, there was COVID, social distancing, mask wearing. All the rules have been broken. There were all these new rules. There's this hilarious, famous moment where CNN catches actual voter fraud happening in real time. It's really funny at a Dropbox. Ladies and gentlemen, the rules have changed, meaning we are now aware of these fraudulent patterns. There's something really nasty happening right now in Pennsylvania with what seems like a massive voter fraud operation involving thousands of voter registrations. It's bad. But we are now paying attention, and Republicans are winning lawsuits. Hopefully, there will be a lawsuit about what they did with going back to the White House transcript. It's illegal to do this, okay? Illegal to do this. So hopefully the scandal results in an actual investigation when we get back in power and we find the people that changed the transcript in order to rig an election, because that's what this is. It's Hunter Biden laptop all over again. They're telling you a thing that actually happened isn't real. And then they're saying that Donald Trump clip is like calling for Liz Cheney to be on a firing squad. No, he's saying that Liz Cheney would never have the bravery to go and stand a post when she sends our sons, our sons and daughters to go do that. So that's what's actually truly happening. A GOP, investigate. Here we go.
Here's the official White House transcript. Note the apostrophe there on the word supporters. The White House press secretary responded yesterday.
Just to clarify, he was not calling Trump supporters garbage, which is why he this is why he wanted to make sure that we put out a statement that clarified what he meant and what he was trying to say. And so just want to make that very clear for folks who are watching.
Now, Vice President Kamala Harris is distancing herself from Biden's Zoom call while she was speaking on the ellipse. Harris told reporters she strongly disagrees with any criticism of people based on who they vote for. The Harris campaign, of course, wanted her big speech to be the focus. Now what many see as an unforced error by Biden, like Yankee pitcher Garrett Cole not covering first with 2 outs in the 5th, leading to a 5-run inning to tie the game. A lesson to our young viewers, guys. Always run hard to first like Mookie Betts did, but I digress. Back to that apostrophe in the transcript. House Republicans are calling that transcript a false official record, writing, quote, instead of apologizing or clarifying President Biden's words, the White House instead sought to change them, despite them being recorded on video, by releasing a false transcript of his remarks. White House staff cannot rewrite the words of the President of the United States to be more politically on message.
This is a literal crime. This is a crime. There is a Presidential Records Act. You are not allowed to, for political purposes, change the words of the president. And I'm sure that every administration in American history have wanted to change some words of the president. The presidents are human beings, just like the rest of us. Sometimes you say things that you wish you could go back and change. That's not allowed. That's not allowed in this country. However, what is allowed in this country is free speech. And while changing the presidential record may be a crime, it is not a fashion crime to have dressed up as a bag of garbage yesterday. Now, we spent the week riding on the back of a garbage truck with Vivek, but there is one incredibly fashionable and brave man who decided to dress as a bag of garbage and went viral for doing it. The great Eric Trump joins the program live now. I saw this post, Eric. We're going to put it up. This is you winning Halloween. This went thermonuclear, hundreds of thousands, probably millions of likes at this point. Bravo, man.
Hey, by the way, Benny, that's American trash right there. That family right there. Beautiful son, well behaved. Make him do well in school. Beautiful daughter, well behaved. Great wife, great family unit. 2 beautiful dogs. One of them being a rescue dog. Yeah, that's American trash right there. I mean, in fact, I think it's kind of the best of America, which is family and everything that, the other side tries to demonize and take away. But it's, listen, you've seen this time and time again. Did it surprise me when Biden said that? Not really. I mean, you had Obama out there who, all Republicans are clinging to their guns, their Christianity. I mean, he was always willing to attack people, right? I mean, he used the IRS to literally attack Christians, conservatives, target their businesses, target their churches, target their companies, target their lives, try and destroy their lives. I mean, Hillary said it with the deplorables and kind of many other comments. I mean, there's no question that they don't like us. I mean, listen, for the last 6 years, we've been censored every single day, every day. I mean, my father was ripped off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. In Google search, you Google Trump, every bad search that could possibly come up on my father came up to the very top. You Google Kamala Harris, and she's like the modern day Margaret Thatcher. I mean, they've done everything they could to try and demean half of this country, and they've done it for multiple different administrations. This didn't start at the garbage comment by Joe Biden, which means they actually believe it. They truly believe it. It wasn't just a gaffe. It wasn't just a kind of a poorly worded sentence. I mean, they truly mean it. And if they didn't, they wouldn't be targeting us the way that, frankly, they have. But in a certain way, Benny, it was kind of interesting. It meant that I didn't need to do much for a Halloween costume. That I haven't exactly had a lot of time to watch my Halloween costume. So I went out to my garage. I got 55-gallon, massive trash bag. I cut a hole in the top of it and 2 holes for my arms. And, the kids thought I was a hero. So, I guess that's one.
I saw so many orange vests. Your dad is culture. Your dad is iconic. We didn't know that we'd get another. I don't know. I don't know if it's this or McDonald's, which is my favorite moment of 2024, but they're the same moment in a way. They give dignity to the working class. They give dignity to working people. And it's a genius way to come after the lies and the disparagement of the people who are coming for our movement and wish to insult their fellow Americans. Did you know this was going to happen? Did you tell your dad to do this?
Benny, can I tell you what else this does?
Yeah.
It actually shows how damn corrupt the media is. So you had you had one of the most famous comedians in the country, right? Has been on SNL a million times, has done every roast of Tom Brady and all these guys go out there. And in a warm-up act, he makes a joke, right? And the joke clearly didn't go over well, right? But this is a comedian that has absolutely nothing to do with the campaign, has nothing to do with our family. I've personally never met the guy. I don't think my father's met the guy, whatever. He was doing a warm-up act, and that's what these guys do. They do warm-up acts. They make people laugh. They're right. And they pounded him, The View, and everybody pounded this guy, and they went after my father for it like crazy for about 14 hours until Joe Biden said it. And then The View comes out. That's not actually what the president didn't really mean that half of the country was garbage. And you had every mainstream media outlet going in there trying to come up with any narrative that they can that when Joe Biden says that half of the country is garbage, he didn't actually mean that half of the country is garbage. And, they took it out of context and everything else. I mean, it just shows how one-sided the media is in this country. This was the president saying a comment about the country, not some warm-up act who spoke 4 hours before my father did at Madison Square Garden, right? And so it honestly, it's why shows like you and I have talked about this a million times, but it's why podcasts like yours does so well. It's why the Joe Rogans do so well. It's why the Patrick Bet-Davids do so well, and the Bonginos and everybody else, because honestly, people have lost their faith in the media. They see them trying to come up with any kind of manufactured nonsense that they possibly can. And then on the flip side, they see them trying to kind of, cover up for literally a guy who's president of the United States and saying something that's absolutely atrocious toward the American people. Hey, listen, it's better for your ratings because more and more people are tuning out of the CBSs and the ABCs and the the MSNBCs. They just don't want to watch them anymore because they know they can't trust them.
Bro, we watched you and your wonderful wife, who's doing such an excellent job protecting our elections as RNC co-chair, walk down that red lane there in Madison Square Garden, up on that stage. Look at this speech was unbelievable. The energy, the roars. I've never heard anything so loud. I've never heard it so loud. By the way, you killed, brother. You killed. You both did a great job. But what was that like for you as a New Yorker growing up there? This was, I would argue, the best political rally in American history. I would argue this is the most love, the most energy, the most differing opinions on stage when you have Dr. Phil and Hulk Hogan and Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson and RFK and Tulsi. You and your wife. It was a uniting moment for all of us. Just your takeaways here. It's got to be magical for you.
I looked at Laura at one point and I said to her, I go, I think I'm the only person, you and I are the only two people who haven't prepared remarks on a teleprompter. I don't think Elon did either, but I go, we're about to go up in front of Madison Square Garden having absolutely no idea what we're going to say. And literally, and by the way, it doesn't faze me one bit at all. I'm more concerned about what I'm going to have for dinner tonight than being able to talk in front of a crowd like that, because it feels like the message is so fluid. It really comes from the heart as opposed to, something that I need to script. I don't need to script the message anymore. I mean, I lived with it every single day. And listen, I grew up in that arena. I was there for the Stanley Cups in '94. I was there for, more Knicks games than you can count. I was there in that arena for every concert from Fleetwood Mac to The Who to Elton John and about 1,000 of the Eagles and about 1,000 others. I mean, I practically grew up in Madison Square Garden. I've been there with my father more times than you can possibly imagine. And then you see, a city that he literally built. He built the skyline. To some extent, we did as well. But just turn on him like he was a nasty piece of to use Joe Biden's words, garbage.
Yes.
And they went after him. They tried to imprison him, and they indicted him. And I sat in a courtroom with him every single day as a city that he loved, right? And it wasn't the people, because the people of New York absolutely loved Donald Trump. But it was politicians. It was weaponized AGs and DAs. Tried to destroy his life, tried to destroy, our company, everything that I work for every single day. And then here, all of a sudden, we come walking in and the blocks, Benny, from Trump Tower all the way down to Madison Square Garden, there were 20 people deep, and they were waving flags and wearing the MAGA hats. And by the way, this is more than actually 20 blocks. I mean, this is probably 30 blocks, right? Between the two. You have to go, about 20 blocks south. You have to go, at 10 blocks over, 5 blocks over. I mean, this is a long trip. And the sides were just covered in people. Then we get there. There were thousands of people around the garden. Then you go inside, and obviously...
Look at this. This is you walking out. Look, The shot's going to pan out. Bro, like even during a sporting event, you don't have this many people there because you filled the floor, the sides, the rack. Look at this shot.
By the way, I'm glad you said that. You know, a basketball event, congratulations. You have a massive court in the middle of it, and then you have obviously, obviously where the team sit and the coaches sit and everywhere else. I've never seen anything like this, and I've been at Madison Square Garden for some pretty incredible events. Whenever they do a concert, one whole side is blocked off, right? Because that's where the screen is, that's where the backstage is. I mean, this is just a little floating island in the Madison Square Garden, and people were going absolutely crazy. And I'm telling you, it was heartwarming. And I went out there and I said, listen, this isn't a political movement. There's plenty of politicians in here, right? And people don't give a damn about any of them. This is a guy who's fought for the heart and soul of America. This is a guy who's lost many zeros off of the back of his name. This is a guy who has been shot at literally and figuratively every single day over the last 10 years. And frankly, it's not just him. It's, I'll put myself in that equation, right? I mean, I'm the most subpoenaed man probably in United States history. I'm at 111 last time I counted. Never so much as gotten a speeding ticket. Certainly no drugs, the hookers, everything that somebody else on the opposite side of the aisle does. And yet I've been subpoenaed probably 110 times more than that person has. And they've tried to take us out. They've tried to impeach him. They've tried to take him off the ballots. They've tried to, Maine and Colorado, right? I mean, they tried to literally subvert democracy by taking him off the ballot. They banned him. They took away his First Amendment right. They took him off of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and every other platform. We had to build an entire platform because of the censorship of Donald Trump, right? And I mean, they went after Supreme Court justices and look at the Russia hoax and look at the dirty dossiers and everything. And here we are after all of it. No one could have withstood this, Benny. No one, right? And after all of this, of 10 years of trying to destroy us, literally his media coverage among the mainstream media is 98% negative. He fought the entire media machine. He fought the DOJ and the FBI and every other institution in this country that's weaponized. And here we were, at the time, Madison Square Garden, 9 days out, and he's sitting in kind of pole position to win the presidency, and that's all him. That's all him. Put me in there as a little bit as a guy who stood on a stage with him every day, but that is one incredibly brave man with backbone, unlike with political intuition, who's clearly being guided, right? He's being guided from above because no one else could have made it through this if he wasn't. And so it was an emotional day being in the Garden. I mean, again, just so many different sentiments coming at you from one time, all at one time, especially being in a place like New York, which was our home, a place that we built, but a place that also, government turned against us so hard and really, tried to throw us away and, lock up the keys.
Man, it seems like people are hedging their bets, though. Eric Adams being like, chill out with all the rhetoric on Trump. Chuck Schumer clapping your dad on the back during the Al Smith dinner. People tell us Kathy Hochul was coming up, kissing his ass. Letitia James having to stand up and applaud for him. We have the photos. She had to stand up and give him a round of applause. Man, it seems like the tide's turning, bro.
Benny, listen, I hope so. I hope so. I've never seen such spirit in this country, but people have to get out and vote. I mean, we asked people to do one thing, to go out and vote early, and people went out in droves to vote early. Obviously, we always do well, day of election. Our Republicans traditionally have, but no one ever voted early. And it's very hard to make up 75 or 80 million votes, on one Tuesday in the middle of the week. And so, my wife's full-time job has been election integrity and obviously getting people out to the polls early, and people really listened. I mean, people listened to my father's message, get out and vote, but we have to swarm them on election day, right? I mean, we have to keep up with them in early voting. And then obviously the path to victory is you swarm them election day, which Republicans traditionally, have always done. But man, I mean, it's hard to believe it's been 10 years of fight to get to effectively the last few days. And, I'm heading to Georgia today. I'm heading to Pennsylvania. I'll be there all day tomorrow. I mean, I think every one of us in the family has been on the road every single day for the last, 60 days. I've been in every state. I've been in every town. We have been working our butts off. I mean, I truly, and I said this in 2016, I mean, I don't think I could have done more. As a family, we've left it all in the field. I mean, we've had to fight against such unbelievable odds. If we just had a neutral media, if we had a 50-50 media, we would win by 95%, right? And we've had to take on that entire establishment, obviously the weaponization of politics. And what are we trying to do at the end of the day? We just want to save our country, right? I mean, our country is going to hell. Everything's unaffordable. The standing on the world stage is so diminished. Now, I'm a guy who travels obviously all the time for work, and people laugh at the United States right now. I mean, they weren't laughing under Donald Trump. They're laughing at this country, the crime, the illegal immigration. I mean, we're doing nothing well. Our deficits, the waste in government. I mean, we are doing nothing well as a nation. We're falling behind. And there's countries like China who are eating our lunch as we literally sit there and talk about whether or not 6'5" men should swim in women's sports. It's crazy. And we just need to get some practicality back to, we got to save our republic. We got to save our Constitution. We have to save First Amendment, which has been so badly under attack. We have to save our Second Amendment. We have to save freedom of religion and family values. Core family values, exactly what Biden was calling garbage the other day. And I really believe we're going to do that. I really believe that, people have seen the greatest dichotomy between kind of an unbelievable president and an absolute crap president, in a 4-year period of time or 8-year period of time. And, I think he's going to be rewarded handsomely, but make no mistake, elections in this country are close, and people have to you have to swarm them on election day. If you can vote early, vote early. Otherwise, we have to absolutely swarm them on election day because, listen, a lot of these states are going to be awfully close. You brought
up China. There's a story that we were talking about because the New York Times just wrote a hit piece on me. I know that they do this daily to you, but they said they came after this program because we dared say that foreign nationals or criminal illegal aliens may vote in our election, and that there are many states that have no security against this. And lo and behold, a Chinese national has voted in Michigan, and that vote will count.
Of course.
And this is a story that is now being prosecuted by the Secretary of State in Michigan, but it's real, and that means that this foreign national's vote will count against the tallies of Kamala or Trump, and will invalidate a legal vote in America.
Yeah. And but Penny, this is
unacceptable. Yeah, it's unacceptable.
They also say voter fraud isn't real, and yet we had 2,500 ballots turned in, and thank God, because of my wife's work and Michael Watley's work and the RNC.
Please.
They caught these people, and they caught them because their signatures didn't match, and there was missing numbers and Social Security numbers, and they were all filled out by the same pen and everything else. And yet you'll have New York Times also come out and say that there isn't. And by the way, you've had elections. Look at Florida, Bush v. Gore, but look at Florida where an election was lost by a handful of votes. 2,500 votes in a small county, in one county in Pennsylvania. That's a hell of a lot of votes.
Yes.
That's hundreds of times what the one presidency was won or lost by. Yet the New York Times will try and come out with a straight face and say that's not the case. It's also really interesting that they'll give you a hard time about a story that you reported on, which is obviously a Chinese voter voting in Michigan, right? But they won't come out and ask a simple question. Tim Walz went to China 35 times, allegedly 34, 35 times, somewhere in there, right? As a teacher. Listen, I'm in international business. I have my entire life, and I've been to China twice. How the hell does a teacher afford to go to China 35 times? Who's paying for those trips, right? What teacher goes on their honeymoon to China? And by the way, this is in the 90s when you want to talk about communism, it's interesting that they're really not reporting about this whole alleged affair with the child of the Chinese business person or whatever it is, that's been all over the place. This is crazy. So they'll talk to you because you mentioned obviously a real story about, obviously a Chinese national that's voting in Michigan, but it's amazing the lack of coverage for that. It's also amazing the lack of coverage for Doug Emhoff, right? Could you imagine if somebody accused, and they have, so many women have come out and falsely accused my father of so many things over the years. They do that. It always happens to be, 2 weeks before an election. But could you imagine if, he was, reportedly, beating somebody at a woman at the Cannes Film Festival? Could you imagine what they would do to him? You don't even see these stories pop up. They're hardly around. And, that's why people have lost trust with the New York Times and frankly, most of the mainstream media. They don't trust them because there's so many other outlets that they can see the news on. And then that news flies in such contradiction to the mainstream media. And it's why these people are canceling their accounts left and right. It's really, it's rather remarkable if you want to know the truth.
It's up right now on the screen. This is the accuser saying there's photos of her and Doug Emhoff. She's saying that she was beaten by Doug Emhoff in a fit of rage, perhaps a drunken fit of rage. And she has backup to this. She has the texts. She has her friends out saying it. This is monstrous behavior. Also, Doug Emhoff's first marriage did end because he slept with a nanny and his child's tutor and impregnated her. So these are just the facts. Sorry if they make you uncomfortable, but these are the facts, and these are the people that the party of women and women's rights, they want to make this man one of the most powerful men on earth. So
and then they have the biggest supporters, criticizing, Mark Cuban. women saying that Donald Trump has no capable women around him. And
please,
as a man who's married to an incredible wife, and my father asked to run the RNC. I mean, this is the most powerful political machine on the Republican side of the aisle, and what she's done for it. I mean, the way she's turned it around, what she's done for the RNC is nothing short of spectacular. I guess she's not a very a powerful woman. I guess she's not I guess she's not a great. It's unbelievable, right? And they let him get away with those remarks. Hey, could you imagine if I made a remark like Mark Cuban's? But I mean, forget about just Laura, and I take personal insult because my wife obviously runs the RNC, but and beyond that is incredible in everything she does. But look at Kellyanne Conway, right? His first campaign manager, woman, right? Look at obviously Susie Wiles, second campaign manager, woman. Go through the Trump organization. I mean, half of my general managers, half my greatest employees, senior executives are women, and I'll take them all day long. I mean, and Donald Trump doesn't empower women. I mean, it's an absolute joke. I was just sitting with Linda McMahon on the plane the other day, and she's sitting right next to my father, and they spend the entire time together. I guess she's a woman that built an organization that they just sold for $9 billion or $8 billion, right? WWE. I mean, she built it from zero to being one of the greatest. I guess she's not a strong woman according to Mark Cuban, and it's infuriating. I mean, it's infuriating. But again, none of the mainstream media, the View, it's not like the ladies of the View are going to come out against Mark Cuban and say, that his comments were absolutely atrocious. It's crazy. But again, it's one of the reasons that I think you have this country so fired up. And I think, one of the reasons that you're having the voter turnout that you are, and one of the reasons that this country is just so frustrated with these people. They know exactly who they are at this point. They're not hiding it anymore. They used to be able to hide it.
That's right.
They still hide it through good PR. They can't hide it anymore, Benny.
That's right. We know about Epstein. We know about Harvey Weinstein. We know about Diddy's parties.
Yeah. All Democrats, by the way. I mean, you just named three Democrats, all of them, every single one of them. Keep going.
Mega donors. Mega donors.
Keep going, and they would all be Democrats.
Yeah. That's the comment to every one of these Mark Cuban things. Every time that Usher comes out and every time Beyonce, Lizzo, Eminem, every time they come out and endorse Kamala Harris, even when some of them said, I don't want to endorse Kamala Harris publicly, like Usher did, that's the number one comment. Oh, the Diddy tapes must be tough. It must be tough on this celeb. And it's it's led to some great humiliations, actually. Guys like Eminem endorsing the same party as the Cheneys.
Can I lead you on to
that's crazy?
And I've never said this publicly. You've got to see the behind the scenes with some of these celebrities. We just had one come to us last week and offered. I'd like to perform, obviously at Madison Square Garden, how much would you pay me to perform in Madison? And this is a big, you would know, every person would know this person. And I'd like to perform there. How much would you be willing to pay us to perform? And guys, we don't need to pay people to, we don't need paid endorsements. It doesn't mean anything to us. Sure enough, a couple of days later comes out, yes, they offered me millions of dollars, but I turned it down. And I'm sitting there saying, man, the gall on these people. I read the article and I cringe. I could not, my heart and soul wouldn't allow me to do that. We offered nothing because we're not going to pay people. We're not going to take dollars and pay people to perform at Madison Square Garden. We didn't need it. We had the greatest lineup of speakers in history. We had Elon Musk. Let's just start there, right? Him by himself before everybody else would have made it the greatest lineup of speakers. Him and Donald Trump would have made it the greatest lineup of speakers ever, let alone all the other people that were on that stage. We didn't need to pay these performers yet. 3 days later, after you kind of, politely decline, hey, thank you very much. If you'd like to come perform, we'd love to have you, but we don't, we're not going to, it's not what we do as a political campaign. We're not going to pay people. The other side, I guarantee you, has paid everyone that's on that stage, right? I would almost bet my bottom dollar on that. And then the person who we didn't pay to perform, who was asking us to perform, goes out and says, yes, they offered me $3 million, a bunch of millions of dollars. And I decided to politely decline. I mean, you're sitting there saying, come on. I mean, it's so disingenuous. It's so unfair. So unfair.
Yeah, I mean, there was a riot at Kamala Harris's Beyonce concert when she didn't perform. The people started rioting. People started screaming, leaving, shouting.
If anybody thinks that there isn't money going to those celebrities when they go out on that stage, believe me, they're not doing it because they're incredible patriots and really believe in Kamala Harris and her lack of vision for this country. You better believe that a substantial number of them are getting paid in one way or another. Trust me on this, Benny, because I understand the inner workings of these things better than anyone. And there's some dark money that flows to those, if it's not money, so oftentimes it's promises of everybody has a price. All those celebrities have a price, and there's very few good ones that are truly up on the stage because they care on that side of the aisle.
Yes. It all seems so fake, and I don't think it's going to work. And maybe you can give us a message to sort of carry this home, because I think the American people, as you aptly said, Eric, are done with this. They're sick of being lied to. Yeah. And the celebrity endorsements haven't worked, bro. Like, there's an article. Guys, can we grab this one from The Hill? Taylor Swift's endorsement cost Kamala Harris votes. The Hill did a massive poll, and more people are going to vote against Kamala Harris because of the Taylor Swift endorsement. The vast majority said they didn't care. Yeah. And so I think that that entire system is now broken, and it's done. And you don't need the celebrities to pack the stadiums. As you said, Madison Square Garden was the most filled it will probably ever be without a single, billed celebrity performance, right?
Benny, the way I close this is, listen, at the end of the day, everybody in life chose mine. I chose mine about 10 years ago, and I'll never leave that team. But, would you rather have Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, who calls half this country garbage, Tim Walz, who puts tampons in boys' bathrooms in Minnesota, defunds police, and between Kamala and Tim has created the largest mass exodus of people from 2 states in the history of this country by far. Or do you like Donald Trump, one of the greatest developers, one of the greatest business success stories in the history of this country, right? Not to mention one of the greatest presidents we've ever had. Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and the collective wisdom of the people that are around him to run this nation, right? And I mean, God, she can't get through even look at the State of the Union or whatever she did the other night. There was no policy mentioned in there. I'm going to make housing affordable again. What do you mean you're going to make You made housing unaffordable. You created the greatest inflation crisis in the history of our country. You made the average 2x4 that under my father you could have bought for $2.90 at Home Depot. You made it $13. What do you mean? You let in 20 million people into this country, 20 million illegal immigrants into this country. How the hell do you make housing affordable again? Like, if anybody understands the basics of supply and demand, if you let 20 million people into this country, you're going to make housing more affordable. If you're not building 20 million more houses, which clearly we haven't done, right? I mean, it's very, very basic, but people have to pick their team. And, I have to say, and people have to look at the actions of people. I mean, in their worst moments, when you just get shot in the head and you stand up and you say, fight, 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 who would you rather have fighting for this country? I mean, forget personality for a second. My father's tough and he's brash and he's politically correct. It's the reason so many of us love him, right? Because that's exactly what the government needs. But who would you rather have fighting for this nation? I mean, in terms of taxes, in terms of not getting ripped off on trade deals, in terms of China, in terms of the wars all over the globe, would you rather have that toughness, or would you rather have, Kamala, who, every time she gets on stage, impersonates a different accent to match, the demographic of people that she's in front of that day? My father's lost a lot of zeros off the back of his name doing this, and yet he doesn't give it. He gets up there and he fights, and he loves this country. And so I just, Benny, you've been a major soul, just warrior. You've been an absolute warrior in this fight, and we love you to death. And you've created so much of kind of, the culture that's really kind of, bucked the mainstream media. And, it's there's been a few of us, and you've been at the helm of this, and just know as a family, we really appreciate it. But, we've got a couple more days, and, vote early, guys, vote early. And elections are close. I hate to say it. Elections are always close in this country. You have to vote early. And on Tuesday, we have to swarm the vote. It's just that simple. Republicans have to come out in the biggest masses they've ever come out. And if we do that, we will win this election. We'll fix this country. If people decide to stay at home, I hope my Second Amendment, there's no person that's more pro Second Amendment in this country than me. So many gun owners in this country just don't vote. I haven't quite figured it out, but my gun owner friends, you got to get out there. You have to get out there. My evangelical friends, and there's no one that's done more to push freedom of religion and freedom of faith in this country than me. The attack on religion and belief and spirituality and family unity and family values in this country is, you have to get out. You have to get out, and you have to vote. Otherwise, I don't think our country can sustain another 4 years of this, of the weaponization. I think there will be nothing left, to tell you the truth. And I'm not a draconian person. I'm not the person who likes to sound the whistle. Like it's not my style to do. These people are evil, and I really do believe that this is a fight, a good versus evil. And I think all American citizens are on the side of good. And I think you've got a bunch of politicians in there that that do not care about this nation, that that have their own self-interest at heart, and frankly, so oftentimes are just not competent and incapable. And I hope Americans who are the greatest people on earth, I hope they get out in force, and I hope they fight, and I hope they restore the greatness that this country can have, because we have unlimited potential. I mean, if people get out, but we have unlimited potential as a country. China doesn't stand a chance if you have the right leadership, and and you point our system in the right direction. You get out of Americans' way. China doesn't have a chance.
So just in closing here, a private question. You don't have to answer, but I know that you communicate very closely with your father every single day. Speak, at these massive arenas with him. That there's nobody that you trust more on earth than you. You went with him to the debates and everything, and kind of the final word. And so, can you just tell us, is this what Donald Trump's going to do at the White House when Kamala leaves? Will he recreate this image of him waving from the drive-through window at the McDonald's to wave goodbye to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris?
By the way, I hope he does. I truly hope. By the way, Benny, I can't tell you how much my two kids. Right, I have a little 7-year-old who just turned 7, and a little 5-year-old she just turned 5. And they're like, Grandpa's at McDonald's. This is the greatest day. I mean, they're in like the McDonald's phase where McDonald's is the greatest day of their lives. That will go down as one of the most iconic, pictures in history. And can you imagine if Donald Trump lied about working at McDonald's? I mean, could you possibly imagine what they would have done to him, right? And again, the media is another pass that the media is given, but. Now that right there is a man that I'm incredibly proud of. I mean, I've stood on the stage every single second since he came down that escalator. I've taken more blows. I've taken more arrows. I've lost more friends. I've been sued more times, more subpoenas, more everything. And I've never been more proud of him. I mean, he just, and Benny, I mean, Americans see it. They see it, but when you really get into kind of the micro, when you spend a day with him, when he's up, when you get that call at 5 o'clock in the morning from him, and then he goes to the first rally, then he goes to the second rally and third rally and fourth rally. He ends up in California, he gets the fifth rally. Then he gets to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, only to wake up again at 5 o'clock in the morning, if he gets any sleep, because he's probably so full of adrenaline. I mean, if you want to talk about a warrior, if you want to be in a foxhole with anybody in the world, if you want one person to be in a foxhole with you, that right there is the man you want to be in a foxhole with, because the guy is, I've never quite seen anything like it. I mean, he's, I used to compare him to the Energizer Bunny, but he far exceeds the Energizer Bunny in terms of energy. I mean, he's remarkable. And that's what you need running the United States of America. I mean, I think, we don't have energy. We don't have cheerleaders. We don't have people going out and saying that America is and can be the greatest at everything we do. You don't hear that from Kamala. There's no spirit there. Yet every single day he fights tirelessly when this is the last thing that he needs to be doing. He's done it all in life. I mean, he's the epitome of the American dream. He does not need to be doing this at this point. And yet he is relentless in terms of the fight, because he cares. And, there's no one I have more respect for than that man right there. He's just an incredible guy. He's been an incredible father, incredible grandfather. And truly a national treasure to this country that would otherwise not have a chance without him.
Our meme team has created actually the image of Joe Biden leaving the White House with a soft serve ice cream cone from the ice cream machine that Donald Trump fixed.
All you need now is him fighting a child, right? It would really wrap up this week.
So creepy.
They just put a little kid's toes in his mouth, so he can go back and forth between a child's toes and ice cream cones. It's
every parent actually understands how creepy that is. Like, that would be my last day broadcasting. You'd have to bail me out. Like, if anybody ever did this to my kid, I don't know how it's allowed. I don't know why any parent would ever put their kid within proximity of Joe Bidden. Why Joe Biden doesn't have an ankle monitor at this point with children. But yeah, this was incredibly creepy.
There's a way to interact with kids, and I have too. And I literally tell Laura all the time, like, if we could have, if she'd be willing to have 7 more, I would have 7 more kids. But I'm really good with kids. I was with friends' kids last night, and they come over. Uncle Eric, I grab them, I'm throwing them up there. That's not creepy, right? And you can squeeze them, you can bear hug them, and it's fun, right? And the kids are laughing and giggling. Why is it that all the interactions with children with him are just weird? I mean, if he tickled their stomach or something, got a little smile out of them, right? That's a small little kid. Everybody would laugh. It's cute. That's just bizarre.
This one's something else.
Bites a child's toes.
Have you heard the music that they have? Play the music. They're playing the Jaws theme song. This is really happening in real time. We didn't edit this clip. This isn't a meme. They played the Jaws theme song as Joe Biden's going in to bite the children.
Hey, where do I start this whole interview, Benny? Choose your fighter.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I just please go to the polls. Choose your fighter. And by the way, Kamala's worse. She's more radical than he is. She's more dangerous. She's more radical than this guy is. At this point, this guy's kind of senile and probably doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But Benny, choose your fighter. So,
for the children. How about that? That's the best possible line for the children. Eric Trump winning Halloween with the garbage outfit with his beautiful family here. This is something to fight for. Ladies and gentlemen, we talk about it on the show every single day. This is what we fight for. This is what Eric's fighting for. Everybody go follow Eric. Of course, millions and millions of Americans do, and they cannot be wrong. Almost 5 million followers on X. And Eric, I think we're going to get another one of those photos right there.
That's almost 5 million, considering I was censored by Twitter for about 8-year period of time. I don't think I gained a single follower over the 8-year period. So, I should be about triple that, but I was literally the most silenced and shadow banned person on the face of this country, other than Donald Trump. So it's go follow and post a lot of good stuff.
We're gonna have to replace that cover image there, bro. You're gonna need an update to that inauguration cover image
with a new one. I'll take care of that right away.
That's right. The great Eric Trump. Godspeed, man.
Take care, my friend. See ya.
We're going to win. What an amazing family. What an incredible family. What an honest family. Does anybody even in Kamala Harris's family ever speak up for her? Have you ever even heard from her kids? Or step kids? Have you ever heard from them? Do they even go out and advocate for her? The only people officially on the trail for Kamala Harris is Joe Biden wearing MAGA hats, calling Americans garbage. Bill Clinton calling Carrie Lake hot, which she did the other day, and then saying that Laken Riley would be alive right now if it wasn't for Kamala Harris. It's a disaster. It's a true they call us trash, but they're the dumpster fire. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just a special moment in American history and a chance for us to lock it up. Chance for us to put this family back in the White House, family that actually loves America, a family that built America. And Donald Trump in his closing statements, his closing round here. We got 4 more days on the stage with Tucker Carlson last night. We wanted to get to this because Donald Trump having a very personal, very honest, very, what's the right way to say it? Very disarmed interview, right? Trump and Tucker are quite close. Tucker Carlson asking President Trump, what keeps you going?
I've been thinking this for the past 8 years, and I've thought it more frequently this year. What motivates you to keep going?
Who the hell knows? I don't know. I just want to be with people like this. There's so much love in this room. So much love, right? No, it's pretty easy. I could have I have a lot of alternatives. I could be in a beautiful beach with the waves hitting me in the face and all that boring stuff. And I've been there, and you get very bored pretty easily. I have one thing in mind. It's called Make America Great Again. That's all I think about.
Do you love it? That's all I think about. Donald Trump. You can see into Donald Trump's, you can mind read Donald Trump as he's going to bed, as he's dreaming. Make America great again. The red hat stays on. Donald Trump roasting some of the neocons. We already played you the Liz Cheney clip with Vivek, but roasting John Bolton in his John Bolton, of course, one of the biggest neocons that ever existed. John Bolton thoroughly disgraced now, agitating against Donald Trump. Donald Trump calls him one of his biggest mistakes. And this is one of my favorite parts about the Trump administration is that they already have their transition team going. Typically, people wait until after the election to start their transition team. But Howard Lutnick is a man who is running Donald Trump's transition team right now through private donors who are paying for a large staff to be prepared to take a battle axe to the federal government and the bureaucracy. It is a wonderful thing to see. So people like John Bolton can't get their fangs and claws into President Trump, along with a ton of other bad actors. Let's go.
But I said, don't go in. They went in. It was such a bad decision. So Bolton, see again, you get back. Bolton, a real dope. But I thought he'd be great. because he was so stupid. He was like a boiler. Every time, if somebody shot down a little tiny crappy drone that cost about $15, he'd want to go to war with Russia. I said, no, I think... He was great for me, though, for a period of time, because he was a nut job, and everybody... I could see his face get red with that stupid white mustache, and he'd be ready to explode. And this was good for me. I went to Kim Jong-un in North Korea. I took this moron with me, and he never said anything. But when Kim Jong-un saw him, he said, oh, shit, I think the guy wants to go to war. So he was great for me to negotiate with. The same thing with Russia. You know, when Putin saw him, I'd be very nice. I'd say, hi, Vladimir, how you doing? And then Putin's, 2 rows back, and it'd see that moron, and it'd say, holy shit, this guy wants to go to war with me. And I got a lot of what I wanted,
What a great energy we have in this movement. Have you seen anyone even happy on the left? Like, nobody's happy on the left. Every single endorsement looks like an ISIS hostage video. Nobody's happy. Nobody's joyous. Nobody has families. Nobody has, like, the kind of esoteric things that we all live for, right? Are willing to die for. Nobody's willing to die for this nation. This is why Donald Trump, this is why they're freaking out, because Donald Trump called them out on it. Like Hillary Clinton, Liz Cheney, all of them, they'd flee. They'd go to Switzerland before they'd ever, like, pick up arms and, like, defend America. They would never do it. They'll send our sons and daughters to go die in deserts somewhere else so that they can increase a point on their portfolio with their Raytheon stock. No. And actually, to have leaders, good leaders that run a country, you need people that are willing to die for their country. You have to have that. That's got to be, like, the basis, the cornerstone. That's why so many of America's greatest presidents were ones who were willing to fight in wars for them, like George Washington, Teddy Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy. Presidents who were willing, who did fight in wars for them, for instance. There are many others on that list. Eisenhower's a good one. Zachary Taylor, Grant. These are presidents that fought for their country. Ronald Reagan served his nation, enlisted. But something's happened. Something horrible has happened. We've completely lost that. And now the country has been led for my life. I'm in my 30s. For my life, the country's been led by draft dodgers, by cowards, by people who burned their medals, threw their medals, burned their uniforms. People that hate this place, actually. The Clintons, the Bushes, the Obamas, John Kerry running for office, like, these people disgrace their nation, actually. And we need to change that. Things have gone horribly wrong when you've lost that warrior ethos that used to run this place. And the final, like, end stage result, like the final, like, botched experiment in all of that, the final boss of Muppet candidates is absolutely Kamala Harris. Dude, Kamala Harris, man, I'm telling you, yesterday showed us exactly how tough life must be with a low IQ. Low IQ Kamala Harris had I think there's a heckler here. ALX, let me know if I'm wrong there. I think there's, like, a heckler in this clip. Somebody shouted something. Watch Kamala Harris have, like, an actual brain aneurysm on stage. Worse than Biden. I mean, what's going on here is worse than Joe Biden. Kamala Harris then starts to loop and repeat herself. Her voice trembles. Her hands shake. She starts frantically, like, looking around. Like, frantically, like, wobbling around on stage. This should be the #1 clip in the world right now. We're going to do our best to try and make it that way. Flustered Kamala Harris spews word salad as protesters interrupt Nevada rally. Okay, there we go. This is our nuclear cringe of the day, baby. This is a tough one to watch. Here we go.
Says, you know what? Let me say something about this. We're here because we're fighting for a democracy. Fighting for a democracy. And understand the difference here. Understand the difference here. Moving forward. Moving forward. Understand the difference here. What we are looking at is a difference in this election. Let's move forward and see where we are. Because on the issue, for example, of freedom of choice, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. That's okay.
What? Is she a speak and spell? What the hell is this? We try not to let our kids have like electronic toys because they're freaking annoying and I think they're bad for them. You'll never catch my kid with an iPad. But I'll tell you what, like they're like stuff that gets sent to us by relatives and things. And ding 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 ding. Like the small binary chipped toys that get sent to our household for my 9-month-old to play with has a greater computing capacity than Kamala Harris. Ding, 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 ding. The future is, we are moving forward. Moving forward. I'd like a room at the Plaza Hotel. This is brain rot. Kamala Harris has brain rot. For having too many people, too many stenographers giving her talking points and can't form a cogent thought on her own. Speaking of people who have destroyed themselves this election cycle through idiocy, Mark Cuban, I don't know what the deal is with this guy. Again, it's the Diddy tapes. You can see it in the face. It's got to be the Diddy tapes. It's got to be it. Yeah, I don't know. Trump responds to Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban said that there are no strong women that actually support Donald Trump. And this, of course, is a embarrassing lie on this program. We have Anna Paulina Luna, Alina Habba, Laura Trump. Just off the top of my head, I'm probably missing hundreds of guests, like the great Julie Kelly, who are roaring lions and advocates for this nation, their children, and for President Trump. But here's what Mark Cuban said from the back of a from the back of a private jet. No word on if this is Epstein's plane.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
Very interesting. Well, let's see here. Who would be a very, very successful woman that we could chat with? Let's start with friend of the show, Alina Habba.
I just got off a plane, so pardon my delay in responding to Mark Cuban's disgusting misogynistic remarks. Some reservos. Michael Cohen on 3 levels. Just confirmed and denied by the Supreme Court of the United States. I'm licensed in 4 states. I graduated college in 3 years. Savage v. Trump. By the way, I could keep going, but those are the cases I win. And your left-wing media and your rhetoric, and you're putting women down. See, President Trump doesn't do that. He surrounds himself with strong women like me. So Mark Cuban, you can go to hell. I'm voting for Trump because I want my daughter to never, ever be around people that speak like you do.
Bazinga! Boom shakalaka. Although, I got to tell you, if you're going to battle for the greatest clapback of Mark Cuban, you got to throw into the ring May Musk. By the way, chat, shout yourself out if you're a strong woman for Trump. Shout yourself out and give love in the chat. May Musk raised the most powerful man on earth. Now, I say this, and people are like, well, but Elon Musk doesn't hold off. Okay, hold on. Elon Musk controls lower space orbit. Elon Musk created the first and probably last viable electric car company. Elon Musk can catch rockets that launch into space in midair with chopsticks. Elon Musk is the richest man on Earth and will probably be Earth's first trillionaire. Elon Musk is without question the most powerful man on Earth if you include the cultural political zeitgeist. The end. And then when Elon Musk has an official position at DOGE, right, the Department of Government Efficiency, okay, then he will, without a doubt, be the most powerful man on earth, all things considered, right? Maybe this side of President Trump. Maybe. So if you...
Mark Cuban said this about strong and... Mark Cuban made the comment about strong, intelligent women are never around Donald Trump. And I wanted to get your reaction to that.
Well, it's certainly not us. And it's certainly not my friends, because they can put sentences together, and you know who can't. The absurdity of the absurd in the absurdity is absurd. I mean...
Of course.
Really. Yeah.
The queen of word salads herself, right?
Okay. A little quick to that, a little short on the trigger there to that clip, but that's okay. But like the point is, she raised Elon Musk. Also, I haven't seen many interviews with May Musk. That's great. She has the same cadence and sense of humor as Elon Musk. You can actually see where he gets it from. This is awesome. We've been in the same room as May Musk. We sat right across from her, like waved at her at Madison Square Garden. Elon was in one box, we were in the other. But Elon, Little X, and May Musk were all there front rows. Is so great. She was beaming. And you can see May Musk on social media. She's beaming. She's posting. She's great. You should follow May Musk. It'd be so awesome to get her on the show. We should totally try to figure that one out. That'd be great. I mean, she's doing Fox. Come on, May. Come on over, May. The water's warm. And she's hilarious. She did a Kamala Harris impression there. This is good. It's really funny. She did a Kamala Harris impression. Joe Rogan did a Kamala Harris impression. I'm asking ALX if there's any way we could get Joe Rogan's Kamala Harris impression to sort of like kick us off into the weekend. It's really funny. But we have to check. We have to check on the clips that we play for the show. Shocktober. October surprise. Big breaking, probably the biggest breaking news story out of the morning was that the American economy has lost jobs under Bidenomics. The American economy in absolute and total freefall and collapse. And I'm sorry to report this to you. This affects all of us. The U.S. economy has been dealt an October surprise. Less than a week before the presidential election, job creation last month slowed to its weakest point since the COVID lockdowns. A shock job report revealed on Friday. Employers added an estimated 12,000 jobs. 12,000 jobs? 12,000 jobs? In October, missing estimates of a 100,000 jobs gain. There's a massive miss, obviously, sparking underlying weakness in the U.S. economy. So-called October surprise refers to an event that could influence the outcome of the election. Although Kamala Harris and Donald Trump appear to be neck and neck, the weak job numbers cast a murky shadow heading into the week. There's now a Boeing strike that's going on. There are hurricanes and unemployment rate steadily above 4%. That's not good. That means probably an unemployment rate when you count people that have stopped looking for jobs is like 10%. That's a recession. That's a collapsing economy. So God voted 3 months ago. Here are the jobs numbers.
Private sector jobs, negative 28,000. Negative. Okay, we were looking for 90,000 added. Negative 28,000 on private. Factory jobs, a loss of 46,000 jobs. Government jobs, we added 40,000 government jobs.
It can't continue. It can't continue. You ever been to a convenience store? It's like an old-timey thing. But like an old-timey convenience store, like where I grew up in a one gas station town where you literally went and rented VHSs from the gas station. You haven't even rent movies from their gas station. If you did, shout yourself out. You lived in a great America. If you rented movies, if you went and physically rented physical copies of a movie from your gas station. That was the town I grew up in Iowa, right? That's where everybody ate. That's where everyone got filled up. That's where everyone got their gallon of milk. There was a little tray that says, take a penny, leave a penny. And that's for people that need to make change, right? If they don't want to break a 20, you grab a penny, to zero it out. Take a penny, leave a penny. Well, that system doesn't work if everybody just takes the pennies. When the government is the only job creator, And the government doesn't create jobs, of course. All they do is leverage our labor and our treasury bills off the backs of people that are actually making things. If the government is the only employer, that's just people taking pennies. The government doesn't make anything. The government is a parasite on all of our backs. So that's a bad system. That's gonna collapse. This is why we must fire the federal bureaucrats. This is why we must fire our federal government. We must get rid of trillions in wasteful spending and hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of government jobs. We must do it. And when we win, we're going to do it. You should be so horrified when you look at numbers that say, oh, the private sector added 10,000 jobs and the government added 40. That's Soviet Union numbers. It's the Soviet Union. They're trying to rig this thing, man. They're trying to rig this thing, and it's not working. God voted 3 months ago. Okay, ask Benny anything. Let's go, baby. You just got to add the music. You just got to add the music to it. The music ends too late. That's all right. We do edits live on the show all the time. Okay, here we go. From Mike McAllister. Hello, Mike. What's up, bro? Google censoring Trump-Rogan podcast and the Madison Square Garden rally had a few employees try to locate the Trump-Rogan podcast, and they could not via Google search. Here's what happened, Mike. According to Google, and we actually reached out, and we have, you know, when you're publishing and you're at a level where you have millions of followers, you get connections with these companies, right? You have these connections with the companies. There are people that are people you can reach out to for problems or issues. We reached out. Here's what happened, and I believe this to be true. There was a mass reporting. We've seen this before. There's a mass botting report where thousands, if not millions of accounts reported the Trump-Rogan podcast, and that put it into a snag on Google search. So libs, who knows, run out of China. Nobody knows. Libs created a false attack on that interview to try and take it down. And then what happens is it gets flagged as spam. It becomes hard to search, and engineers have to go back in and unwind the system. Now the podcast is totally searchable. ALX, can you confirm that, please? The podcast is totally searchable, and it's back to normal. But that's what happened from our sources at Google. Our sources at Google say it was an attack on Joe Rogan and Donald Trump, and it didn't work. Is it searchable, Killer Klein? Okay. All right. So you can now see it. What's the number at? What we got?
42 million.
42 million. Come on, baby. There you go. We encourage you to go watch it. We encourage you to watch the J.D. Vance episode also. What's that one at? We'll play you a clip from J.D. Vance in just a second. The J.D. Vance, Joe Rogan.
There it is.
Uh-oh.
Way down the bottom.
Oh, they censored that one too?
Yep. 8 million.
8 million. Okay. All right. J.D. Vance was supposed to be on the show this morning, but unfortunately we have had a major scheduling conflict. So we're going to continue to effort that through the election. J.D. Vance was supposed to be joining us live this morning. And I'm very sad that we couldn't lock in times, but as you can well imagine, busy moment in American history, and the wind is at our back. Thank you, Mike McAllister, for the question. Pagan but cool with Christians. For Kamala, this is a question from Jason Ashcraft. For Kamala to insult those with faith, she offends many people with faith. Picking up the spiritual path that resonates is self-expression, thus freedom of speech. Have you considered how the left is attacking Christ? It's also a threat towards expression of other faiths. Yes, absolutely. The left hates any God that is not them. So every single faith tradition takes away from their power, and you're on my side. What I'm saying, you're on my side we're fighting against atheistic Marxism. If you believe in a deity, if you believe in a higher power, I will link arms with you, and we will fight that together. Because the true enemy is the absence of God. Now, God is real, and you can't deny that. The absence of God is Satanism. Satanism is hedonism, is viewing yourself as God. This was Satan's sin, actually, and why he was cast out of heaven. And so that's what I'm fighting. A reminder that atheists, well, you got to have faith in something, right? So what's their faith? You know, their faith is in the absence of God, right? That's what they're believing in. You're choosing to believe in something based solely on faith. So either you're affirming God or you're denying God, right? There really isn't any scientific or logical argument that there is no God. Nope. No. There's just you denying the existence of God that is empirical, actually. And so, yeah, it is a spiritual battle, and we talk about it a lot. Thank you, Jason, for your question. Kirk Bolin. Dear Benny, I want to thank you. I joined tonight after your video on the New York Times hit piece. Thank you so much, Kirk. That was your greatest video ever. The passion in your delivery is heartfelt. I stand with you respectfully, Kirk. Well, thank you, Kirk. Any connection to Charlie Kirk? Listen, it's a very neat moment. I'm glad that this is our question today. It's a very neat moment. Klein saying, get back to the mic. Get back to the mic. There was a time, and that time was not too long ago. There's actually a piece, you can pull it up, where the New York Times, they ran the same game. They ran the same play. And they went after free speech voices on the greater online ecosystem. YouTube was one of the platforms, but they went after the biggest creators in 2016. I was certainly not one of them. In 2016, I was cutting my teeth in corporate media in Washington, D.C. I'm not sure that I'd really seen the light, to be quite honest with you. And they were able to successfully, through a New York Times hit piece, nigh on 10 years ago, destroy the careers of some of the most powerful and some of the most successful and some of the most brave free speech voices on the internet. You can go back and find that article, look it up. I've seen it's been ping pong balling across my feed. They tried to run the same op against us. They tried to do the same thing to me, Tim Pool. You can put up the article. You can see it. Me, Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro. They did the same thing. Tucker. They did the same thing. They tried to run the same playbook. And what's amazing is that there is no result. YouTube laughed in their face. To the credit of YouTube, actually. YouTube laughed in their face. You're going to need the archived article. I'm sure ALX has it for you. Okay. To their credit. But now we have Rumble. Now we have entire networks like Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson that exist on Spotify, that exist totally decentralized, totally atomized from the corporate media ecosystem. And it is the corporate media that is dying. It is the corporate media that needs us for relevance, not the other way around. Sorry for yelling. It's wonderful. Oh, it is liberating. Such a shout out to Elon Musk for making this possible. There are thousands, millions, our following has 12 million patriots in it. 12 million people who love freedom of expression, freedom of speech. There are people from all walks, all backgrounds, tons of countries around the world. I'm seeing there's like a super chat here for SEC. I don't even know what SEC is, from Minnie Maria. I just want to say thank you, Minnie Maria. I don't know what SEC is. 14 SEC. We're here, like this ecosystem exists for freedom-loving patriots around the world. Oh, Swedish. I apologize. Minnie Maria, I apologize. Swedish. Women for Trump. Vote for the right man. Minnie Maria, we love you. This ecosystem exists as a global movement of freedom, not of power, but of freedom for people and we speak on their behalf. And the most important free speech is the actual purpose of free speech. And the only way that you could possibly measure if you have it is if you are allowed to say things that people disagree with. The New York Times doesn't believe that we should be allowed to speak. That's what this entire article was about. Predicated, by the way, on a far left-wing hate group called Media Matters that went through all of our channels and said that we were spreading dangerous misinformation. It's amazing. If you scroll down the bottom of the article, you can see where they say Mr. Johnson says that illegal criminal foreign nationals may vote in our elections. They are voting in our elections. I should have my PR person email to say we demand, we'll sue you if you don't include this in the article. Since you literally said that criminal aliens are not voting in our elections, they are. And their votes count, by the way. These are the ones we know of. So it's fraud. The entire thing is fraudulent. And it's like shadow boxing now for us. Because as our audiences are growing, their audiences are atrophying, shrinking, and becoming more balkanized. While we are reaching untold millions around the globe. Down, further, Klein, please. Down, go, all the way down, all the way down. All the way down, brother. Right there. Yeah, look at that. Mr. Johnson argued in a monetized video that Democrats had not closed the border because they wanted to import voters. Here we go, right there. In fact, non-citizens cannot legally vote in elections. A non-citizen just voted in Michigan and their vote's going to count. They're from communist China. New York Times. You want to know why? You want to know why the New York Times is collapsing? Why our channels are exploding? Because we're right. Because they're lying. You can see it here. The Secretary of State of Michigan, who's a Democrat, agrees with us. The New York Times down bad. Okay? Now I'm saying the Secretary of State of Michigan should lose her job. She's no hero here. But they should. This is why they're losing. You want to know why the trust in corporate media is at catastrophic, unsalvageable, unfixable, all-time lows? Because of this garbage. And we will march into a new American century with linked arms with Joe Rogan, with Theo Vaughn, with Tim Dillon, with Flagrant and Andrew Schultz, with Kill Tony, with the people who care about free speech. People who care about free speech in this nation. Which is people who love life and comedy and the capacity to have free thought. And that's really what it's all about. To live your life unconstrained and without a boot on your neck. To live your life as a free man and not a slave. So which do you choose? Freedom or slavery? That's what's truly at hand here. I want my children to live free. How about you? We're proud to fight for you. We're thankful for that question, Kirk. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, our verse of the day today from Psalms 27. Even though an army sets up camp against me, my heart will not be afraid. Even though war breaks out against me, I shall still have confidence in the Lord. Every single one of our verses of the day, always kind of centering on the same thing. Don't be worried. We're out trick-or-treating and, dudes in my neighborhood come up to what do you think? What do you think? What's going to happen? God's got us, man. God's got us. I have profound peace about it. I sleep like a baby. Sleep like a baby. I have profound peace about this election. As I believe that God says, and has said it many times, if a righteous man or righteous woman stand up, they can save the entire city. They can save the entire nation. So you can stand up with me. You can march with me. We can march together, and we can have the victory. And I firmly believe we are going to do that. Whew, it's been a long run. It's been a long roll, ALX. It's been years, bro. We've been building for a long time. And now we're here. and we'll have one more broadcast until we hit Election Day. So we will see you on Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend in this, the greatest country on earth. I see the preview here. Please feel free to check out our documentary with Vivek. By the way, I want to make sure that we hyped that. We have our documentary of our dump truck ride with Vivek. It was great. It was great. It was one of my all-time favorite things that we did. Please go check it out. We're going to be working through the weekend. We're going to never quit. We have so much to fight for, so much to live for. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why we do it. I think that we have the Joe Rogan clip of doing the Kamala Harris impression with JD Vance. Since JD couldn't be on the show this morning, we thought, why not play this incredible clip of him and Joe Rogan doing Kamala Harris impressions back and forth to each other. This is the energy, guys. This is how we win. Have a great weekend in this, the greatest country on earth. All right? Get down on your knees and pray. Pray that God saves this place in 4 days. All right? Here we go. Here's a laugh to start your weekend off with.
Astonishing. She talks. The only way I can describe it is she talks in circles.
Yeah,
right. It's like
Tim Dillon says it's like she does gypsy curses because she speaks in gypsy curses.
That's very good. But it's we need to build an opportunity economy, because if Americans don't have opportunity, then they're not going to have the opportunity to be Americans. And it's like, what the hell?
The opportunity to generate wealth and generational wealth.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
What in the name? No! Yes. Yeah. There you go. Now everybody's happy.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings. And their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind? Assault from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. Show come to mind, assault from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.